Hey guys, so do you have MAC pigments sitting around that you're not using because they're a little tricky to work with and kind of messy? Today I'm going to show you how to press your MAC pigments into a pressed eyeshadow form, so stay tuned. Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to press MAC pigments, and the reason why I specify MAC pigments is because all pigments are not created equal. They all have different ingredients in them, and fortunately for us, MAC pigments have what they call a binding agent in them, so it makes them very easy to press. Now if you wanted to press, let's say a NYX Ultra Mania pigment or a barium dazzle dust or something like that, it's a little more complicated because you're going to need to add a binding agent, but we're not going to get into that today. This is just like basic pressing MAC pigments. The difference between this video and any other videos that you may have seen on YouTube about pressing MAC pigments is I wanted to be able to do it without having to buy anything from a website. Every time I've ever watched a video about how to press MAC pigments, they always would say, oh, you can get the pans here, and it would always be a website. Well, I wanted to be able to walk into a store and buy whatever I needed to press pigments. So I went on the hunt and I found something that I feel like it works, but it's only going to work in conjunction with something else. So let me explain. Here are some pigments that I pressed already, and these are all done. These are completely done. And what these are, as far as what I used for the pan, are bottle caps. And I was able to get these at Michael's, which is a craft type store. And they actually sell these in a couple different places in the store. And these ones are by Bead Landing. And then it also says Found Objects on the package. And I got 16 bottle caps for $4 and change, which seems like a lot of money, but this was the only thing that I could find that I could use for this purpose. So it's just a bottle cap. And then what I did was I added, you have to put something on the back to magnetize it, and these are magnetic sheets, and you can just cut them with a pair of scissors for any size that you want. This I got at Walmart. This is what it looks like: adhesive magnetic sheets. Create your own magnets, and then you get several pieces of magnetic sheeting in the package, and this is not expensive at all, and one package will last you for a very, very long time. And yeah, you can just cut this with a pair of scissors. It comes in, you know, big sheets, and you can just cut it to whatever size you want. And then I just stick a little piece on the back, so I'll show you one that's already done. See, so I just do that. Now the thing is, oh, and if you feel like the magnet on that is not strong enough and you want something stronger, they also have these at Walmart. These are magnetic buttons, and you just peel the backing off and stick it on the back of the pan. But I prefer the other kind because this makes it sit up really high in the palette. And you can still close the cover, but it's just, I don't know, I don't like the cover being that close to the top, but you can use these if you would prefer, and those are also in the craft section at Walmart. But the thing is, if you're gonna use my method, you can't use an insert in the palette. This is just a standard MAC palette. This is the new version that has the clear cover on it. But you can't use an insert because these bottle caps will not fit in the inserts that they have. But I prefer not to use an insert anyway, because then I can fit more in there, and I don't know, I don't really like the inserts. I like to be able to arrange it exactly the way I want to arrange it. So here are 4 that I've done already. Now I'm gonna walk you through this process. You will need some rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. You might see it called either one, so it's gonna say either isopropyl or rubbing or both on there. And you will need a quarter to press it. And you'll need some of these bottle caps that I showed you. You'll need your pigments, of course. This is the old style pigment jar, what they used to look like, and now this is the container that they come in. So these are both MAC pigments, but just the old version and the new version. The new version doesn't have as much in it as the old version. Now, when I did these yesterday, I was pretty happy with the results, but it was very messy. And it does take some practice. And the way I did it was I took my pigment and alcohol and mixed it directly in the bottle cap. But that didn't work out too well because I couldn't fit the amount of ingredients that I needed to in here and stir it up without it becoming a big mess. Because what happens is when you add the alcohol to the pigment, it sort of breaks down the pigment, and then you lose the volume. So I feel like rather than stir it directly in the bottle cap, your best method is to stir it, put your ingredients in some kind of a little container. And this is just a sample container. I had asked, when you ask for a sample at a department store of a makeup item, they put it in one of these little containers. This is one from MAC. And I just cleaned it. I saved these because they really come in handy. And so I just cleaned this out, and that's what we're going to use today. So anything you have like this that's really small, because that's going to be a lot easier than, you know, mixing it in the pan. Now, you're going to need something for scooping and stirring. This is just like an orange stick cuticle pusher thing, but really that part of it doesn't matter. You can use pretty much anything that you want. Okay, so let's get started. What I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to do vanilla. So take some of your vanilla pigment and put some in this little jar. And I don't measure this out or anything. I just try to eyeball it. And the more you do this, the better you'll get at it, because it just becomes easier and easier with practice. So I'm gonna take some pigment and just dump it in this jar. And you're gonna use more than what you think you're going to need, because you might be looking at all the pigment in there and looking at that little tiny bottle cap thinking, oh my gosh, how in the world is she going to fit that in there? Well, the thing is, like I said, when the alcohol hits it, it's going to break down the pigment, and so you're going to need more than what you think you do. Now, just like with the pigment, I don't measure out the alcohol either. I'm just going to use a small amount and start stirring it up and then kind of see how it goes. And what you want to do is you want to more or less liquefy the pigment, but keep in mind, the more alcohol you put in here, the longer it's going to take for this to dry. But if you don't make it liquidy enough, you won't be able to get it in the pan and have it even. So you'll see what I mean as we go along. So this can be a bit much, but I'm gonna, oh, and make sure you put a paper towel down because this can get very messy. And you're also going to need a napkin or a piece of cloth or material later on for pressing with the quarter. So let's put some alcohol in the container. Trying to very carefully pour some of this in here without spilling it. Oh, I did a great job. I didn't even spill one drop. Okay, so just start stirring this with the orange stick or whatever you're using to stir it. Now see, it practically is gone completely. I mean, there's hardly anything left here. So that's why you need this container, because you're going to need to add more. Otherwise, you're not going to have anything to put in your bottle cap. Okay, try and wipe off the stick as best you can so you don't lose it. Now see, that's hardly anything. So I'm going to put some more pigment in the container. I'm going to just flip my orange stick around to the side that's not dirty and put some more pigment in the jar. And add some more alcohol, very carefully, trying not to spill it. Oh, I got some on the paper towel. Oh well, that's what the paper towel is there for. It's just alcohol, so it's not gonna do much damage. Okay, so back to the dirty side of the orange stick, and just really stir this up good so that the pigment is completely saturated. I'm just stirring and stirring, and this is a nice liquidy consistency. Okay, now I think we have enough. So I'm going to take my bottle cap, and it doesn't actually say bottle cap on that package, by the way. It just shows you, like, those come in all different shapes and sizes of things, and those happen to be bottle caps, but I don't think it even says bottle caps on the package, but most people know what a bottle cap looks like. Okay, so we're going to pour this in the pan. And try to scrape it out as best we can with the orange stick. It's not easy to get this out of here, but like I said, the more liquidy you make it, the longer it's gonna take to dry. Okay, so as you can see, it's a pretty decent consistency to make it smooth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this aside, and then we're gonna come back later and press it. And I'll show you how to do that when we come back, and I'll let you know. I'll give you an idea of how long it took for this to get to the right consistency to press it. So I'll be back. And we're back. So it's been a little over 2 hours since I filmed the previous footage, and you'll probably notice that I changed my nail polish because I noticed that it was chipped, so I figured, what the heck. This is Revlon Lavender Soap, and yeah, so it's still the same day but different nail polish. And so I checked on my eyeshadow, or what's going to be an eyeshadow, a couple times, and see how it's kind of like puckered there. That's because I was touching it to see if it was ready to press yet. And okay, so now it's not liquidy anymore, but it's not completely dry. It's been, like I said, about 2 hours. So now we're going to move on to the next step. And by the way, all I did with these items that I was using before, I just kind of rinsed this under the sink, and it comes clean just with water. And then I washed this off, so it's kind of stained, but it'll be good enough just to stir with the next time around. Alright, so here we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a napkin, and what's kind of cool is this napkin has like a little pattern on it, and that pattern is going to press onto the eyeshadow, so that's kind of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the napkin over the bottle cap and put my quarter on top, And you know what? Can I just zoom in on this a little bit? There we go. Now you can see better. Okay, so I'm going to put the napkin over the bottle cap. I'm going to put the quarter on top, and I'm just going to press down. And as I press down, you might be able to see right along the edge there, you can see some wetness. And that's just like the excess alcohol coming out. And what this is doing is it's pressing any air that's in there out of the eyeshadow. Because if you don't press the pan with a quarter like this, and you just leave it alone, the eyeshadow is just going to crumble and fall apart as you try to use it. So this is just going to take out any excess alcohol or air that's in there. Okay, so I'm going to remove the quarter and the napkin, and this is what we're left with. Now you can see that it's still a little bit messed up from when I touched it before, but you know, it takes practice, and you're really better off just leaving it. Don't even touch it for a couple hours because it'll dry when it's ready to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this out the rest of the day, let it dry completely. And as far as how long it's going to take to dry, I don't know, a few hours. So I'm just going to leave it the rest of the day, and then tomorrow I'm going to pop it in my palette. But what I can do right now is I can take some of that magnetic sheeting that I was showing you before and just cut a small piece with some scissors. It cuts really easy, it's thin. Then I'm going to peel the backing off of it. Like that. And then I'm just going to put it on the back and press it down. And that way when this is dry, I can just pop it in my palette. So that's it, you guys. That's how you press MAC pigment into a pressed eyeshadow. And you know, this stuff, you can just get this at, here, let me back my camera back up here. Yeah, you can get a package of this at Michael's craft shop, and that way you don't have to special order anything from the internet. So that is it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.